10 Scariest Airplane Discoveries. A skeleton flight missing 35 years was real. Plus, the truth behind MH370's crash is revealed. 10th. Plane lands after 35 years. In 1990, an unregistered 4-engine plane suddenly appeared at a South American airport. Here begins the fabled Pan Am Flight 914 incident. It's dated July 2, 1955. By most accounts, Pan Am Flight 914, with 57 passengers, flew New York to Miami, due in only a few hours. Soon after takeoff, the plane lost tower contact, no distress call, no anomaly report, then instantly vanished from radar. After weeks of fruitless searches, the flight was declared crashed. All aboard presumed dead. If the story ended here, it would just be one of many aviation incidents. Yet the strangest tale came later. The flight vanished 35 years, then appeared over Caracas, Venezuela. In 1990, legend has it, controllers first noticed the plane when an old signal popped up on radar. As the camera closes in, they spot a Douglas DC-4, extinct. Captain insisted they were flying New York to Miami, showing the log clearly dated July 2, 1955. Plane for all. Even creepier, legend says the passengers and crew still looked unchanged from 35 years earlier. They didn't know they'd been missing for decades, insisting they'd only flown above the clouds for hours. It felt like time travel or a wormhole. Online videos, forums, and occult articles keep hyping this event as history's craziest flight. But when calm voices joined, incident revealed another side. Fact checkers, including Snopes, long ago probed the 914 incident's truth. Results show story began in Weekly World News, a tabloid known for fakes. A tabloid known for stories about aliens, hybrids, and doomsday. The paper reran similar Flight 914 stories in 1985, 1993, 1999. Details differed. Further checks showed Pan Am ran no New York-Miami route in 1955, and accident databases show no record of Flight 914. In Pan Am's fleet, no aircraft model data matches the legend's description. Plane photo in the story was later confirmed by AFP as an old jet turned home. Entirely unrelated to the missing flight, experts agreed completely at N. The Pan Am 914 story is a classic urban legend spread by tabloids and hyped online. Number 9. A convertible plane. You've seen convertibles, but few imagine an open-top airplane. One day in the sky up there. On April 28, 1988, Aloha Flight 243 showed many an unbelievable reality. At 1:25 p.m., the Hilo Honolulu 737-200 again ran its usual inter-island route. 19-year-old plane, flying daily in Hawaii's humid, foggy air, went through thousands of pressure cycles. For the passengers and crew, it was just another ordinary 23-minute flight. Mid-flight, a piercing boom ripped an 1.8 by 8-foot hole in the cabin roof, and blue sky suddenly filled passengers' view right above them. No warning, the air vanished, and everyone suffocated. Hundreds km/h winds tossed cushions, papers, and masks up. Passengers saw the wing and sea winds below. Most tragically, flight attendant Clarabelle Lansing was standing near the rupture. At the blast, pressure tore him from the plane. The crash's only death. The cockpit was chaos too. Dashboard shook, cockpit door sucked out, noise made talking impossible. Robert Schoen and co-pilot Michelle Horn stayed calm in a semi-open plane. Airframe shook, controls lagged, left engine ate debris, restart failed. Amid chaos, 2 pilots steadied the plane, then began an emergency descent. The wrecked fuselage could split again any time, but they had no choice. Fly the shaky open cockpit plane to nearby Kauhui Airport. No oxygen, no insulation, no roof, just wind and fear hanging by fate. The plane charged toward the runway faster than normal, terrified eyes fixed on their only hope now. As the tires hit, fierce shaking nearly tore the broken airframe apart. Yet a miracle occurred. It was among history's few airliners to land despite structural damage. Of 95 survivors, 65 were injured, but making it out alive was a miracle. Yet behind this miracle were many ignored warning signs. Investigators found fuselage lap joints weakened by metal fatigue and bond failure. Hawaii's sea salt corrosion kept cracks spreading over time too. Frequent short island hops piled heavy pressure cycles on the fuselage, but inspections missed deep cracks. The crash rocked aviation. Afterward, global checks on old planes tightened. Boeing strengthened fuselage joints. Fatigue-proof. Durable now. 8th. A plane without a captain. Self-driving cars abound. Someday planes may fly without a pilot too. This works only once tech is mature. In 2005, a captainless flight would be tragic. That was August 14, 2005. Larnaca, Cyprus sun blazed. Ilias Flight 522, a Boeing 737-300 with 121 people, was flying to Athens. Everyone expected a routine flight. Soon after liftoff, a takeoff configuration alarm suddenly blared in cockpit. That sound belongs on the ground. The plane wasn't ready for takeoff, yet it was thousands of feet up. Worse, master caution lit. Even ground engineers heard it too. However, the captain blamed the AC. He and the co-pilot missed the real fault: cabin pressurization. To be precise, the pressurization system's P5 panel was left in manual. Last service, an engineer tested it and forgot to restore auto, meaning that at 10,000 meters, the cabin never auto-pressurizes at all. Hypoxia crept in, yet the two cockpit pilots still failed to don oxygen masks immediately. Over radio, ground engineer asked if pressurization was on auto. The captain didn't get it. He asked again, "Where's the equipment cooling breaker?" Talk stopped cold. From then on, the cockpit slowly went silent. When oxygen masks fell, the cabin was already nearly fully depressurized. Crew and passengers struggled to stay conscious in low oxygen. The cockpit pilots delayed masks, when nearly unconscious. Soon, the aircraft became a true ghost flight in the sky. No response to ground calls, yet radar showed it cruising its route. Greece scrambled two F-16 jets. As the fighter drew alongside the airliner's left, the pilot shuddered. The co-pilot lay motionless on panel. Captain's seat empty. The fighter pilot then saw a figure slowly enter the cockpit. It wasn't the captain, but a flight attendant. He sat in the captain's seat, worked instruments, waved for help, but hypoxia had worn him down long. Barely conscious, he couldn't control the plane. Flight 522 circled near Athens 2 hours, but fuel would soon run out. The left engine roared once, died, and the hulking airliner tilted into a descending bank. The pilot saw him give way, plunging like a severed kite into the valley. Minutes later, the crash answered everything. No one survived. 7th. Miracle landing. She fell from 10,000 meters without a parachute and lived. Sounds like sci-fi. Yet it truly happened over Europe in open sky in 1972. On January 26th, JAT Flight 367 left Stockholm, stopped in Copenhagen, flew to Zagreb, bound for Belgrade. A McDonnell Douglas DC-932 carried 28 aboard, 23 passengers, 5 crew in total. No one would have thought that this ordinary flight was about to shock the world. The only witness was a 22-year-old flight attendant named Vesna Vulovic. He wasn't meant for this flight at all. A roster mistake moved him onto Flight 367, making him fate's chosen survivor. After taking off again from Copenhagen, all seemed normal until over East Germany near Hengsdorf Nav Point, a sudden bang broke the calm. A bomb in the hold instantly tore the fuselage apart. The DC-9 broke up midair. 3 pieces fell like iron birds. The explosion occurred at about 33,000 feet, making survival nearly impossible. All 27 on board died instantly. They either blacked out from the blast or were hurled by fierce high-altitude winds into the cold, thin sky. Only one stayed inside. Vesna was flung into a tiny pocket of seat, food cart, and fuselage metal, trapped in a makeshift shell. The wreck kept falling and spinning, cold wind rushing in. Oxygen gone, but he was still strapped in, unconscious yet alive. The aircraft finally crashed on a hillside in Czechoslovakia. Deep snow, the slope, and nearby woods at the site helped absorb the massive impact. Local villagers heard a loud crash and then seemed to hear faint groans. They followed the sound to wreckage, finding a bloodied girl still barely alive. She was in a coma for 27 days, woke paralyzed with fractures, but recovered. Doctors still today can't believe he survived a fall from such a height. Officials say a bomb and baggage hold caused the crash, likely terrorism, yet the bomb's source, security breach, and in-flight detonation remain disputed. Still one of aviation history's unsolved mysteries today. Vesna was the disaster's only survivor, and Guinness confirmed it as the highest fall ever recorded. He became a Yugoslav household name, telling on countless shows the story he barely recalled, yet it changed his life. 6th. Pilot on the window. Can you imagine? A pilot still survived after half his body was sucked out a high-altitude window. Alive. How? June 10, 1990. B Flight 5390 flew Birmingham to Malaga with 81 passengers and 6 crew. Captain Tim Lancaster and co-pilot Alisterson lifted off in mist. All seemed calm. When the plane climbed to 17,300 feet, a huge blast ripped the cockpit. Captain's side windshield tore off suddenly, triggering rapid explosive cabin decompression. A high-speed blast, like an invisible hand, tore Lancaster from his seat, hauling him toward the window, his torso nearly outside, legs wedged between controls and gauges. Freezing winds, thin air, and a jolt knock him out. The plane starts plunging, shaking. At the life or death brink, Kongcheng entered the cockpit just then, instinctively clamped arms around the captain's waist, yanking him back from being sucked outside. Gale force shoved him outward. Glass scraped his arms. Cold wind cut. Simon Rogers helped. Together they gripped Lancaster with all their strength, keeping him still half suspended. Meanwhile, co-pilot Hassan must stay calm in the chaos. Wind shuts his eyes as he grips the controls hard against fierce gusts. Captain's legs jammed in controls. Plane went into dangerous dive. Sun must decide fast. Keep climbing risks worse control. Descending might briefly ease the decompression crisis. He quickly descended it and tried contacting ATC, but wind noise made replies nearly inaudible. Sun finally diverted to Southampton Airport. With no windshield, wind in his face, and numb hands, he relied on training and will to keep the plane steady. Ground radar called altitude, speed, heading. He nudged controls inch by inch, regaining control. Plane touches down. All exhale. Rescuers storm cockpit. Lancaster still hangs by the window, rigid, yet incredibly alive. He broke his arm, wrist, and thumb, had facial frostbite, but all 87 survived. The investigation found the cause. The captain's window was replaced hours ago with the wrong bolts. Such a basic error caused disaster under high-altitude pressure. Luckily, Captain Lancaster recovered and soon flew again. Co-pilot Hassan was hailed a hero. Ogden and Rogers earned extra praise too. 5th. The missing plane. January 30th, 1979. A Boeing 707 freighter left Tokyo Narita with 6 veteran crew and $1 million plus art aboard. It disappeared over the Pacific, like it was erased. This is Flight 967. Unlike most crashes with wreckage, oil, or distress calls, this plane made its last ground contact 22 minutes after takeoff, then vanished. As planned, he should report position at 21:23, but never did. Search teams searched waters 200 kilometers northeast of Tokyo, but found nothing. No debris, oil, lifeboats, or insulation. For a 100-ton Boeing 707, vanishing without any debris is truly baffling here. Highlight: dozens of Manabu-made paintings on board, worth $1.24 million. To the art world, a trove fit for a whole show. To the airline, merely well-packed cargo awaiting shipment across the ocean overseas. Since the plane vanished, paintings never surfaced again in records, auctions, or underworld talk. They disappeared with it. Captain Gilberto da Silva was a legend. In the 1973 Flight 820 crash, he bravely landed and saved many lives. with over 23,000 flight hours. He was a veteran who stayed calm in the worst weather. No one like that ever gets broken quietly in the air. That night, no warning, no code, no time even to press a button. As if some force swallowed plane, dragging crew and paintings into an unknown abyss. The search was massive. Japan Coast Guard, US military, and others checked air, sea, and radar records. Sadly, all efforts were wasted. The Pacific's vastness made the search like finding a wind-blown needle in the sea. Days later, officials ended the search, presuming the crew dead. Rumors followed. Some think cabin depressurization knocked out the crew. Autopilot flew until fuel ran out, crashing into ocean. That explains no distress call, but not why there's zero floating debris anywhere. Others eyed the paintings, calling it a perfect hijacking. Yet if the goal was million-dollar art, after 40-plus years, something should have surfaced in black markets or collections, yet it didn't. The painter waited his life for the works to return, but died never seeing them again. So, what do you think? Number 4. The biggest mystery in aviation history. March 8, 2014. Flight 370 left Kuala Lumpur for Beijing with 239 aboard. It was a Boeing 777-200ER, among the world's most reliable airliners. At 1:19 a.m., the captain casually said, "Good night, Malaysia 370." And no one knew those were the last words the world would hear from the cockpit. Minute later, transponder off. Plane vanished from civil radar. Stranger still, radar side double back, turned twice, as if on a silent night voyage. Investigators later confirmed the flight path was likely human-controlled, not a mere random equipment failure deviation. But if it was controlled, why shut off comms? And where did it go? No comforting answer yet. That night, the world began unprecedented rescue efforts. Dozens aircraft and ships. Several nations searched from South China Sea to Southern Indian Ocean. Ocean vast. Clues scarce still. Satellite handshakes showed the plane flew due south on steady course. Fuel likely ran out somewhere in the Indian Ocean. Yet the 1,000-kilometer seventh arc spans rugged depths, making location needle and haystack hard. Over years, nations spent $100 million on deep-sea searches. Paused in 2017. Only some MH370 debris washed up in Madagascar and Reunion. But the crash remains unsolved. Plane black box, and main parts still missing. The longer the mystery, the more doubts. Families angry. Media pressed. Conspiracies spread early on. Key details were released late. Agencies clashed, and search calls kept changing. The 2018 report admitted it couldn't confirm why the plane vanished, rule out illegal third-party interference, or explain communications cut and course altered. It looked neutral, yet dodged the real issue. For families, that's no answer, just more hurt. Many aviation experts say this disaster wasn't tech failure, but institutional failure. Not until December 2024 was the search approved to restart, led by US firm Ocean Infinity, on a no-find, no-fee mission. Flight 370's darkness comes from missing wreckage and shattered, irreparable trust too. A modern jumbo jet with 239 souls vanished mysteriously, even with worldwide satellites, before any nation or agency could track it in time. A crushing blow to global aviation safety, and to every passenger's heart too. Number 3. The missing flight. September 4th, 1954. That day, Santiago Flight 513 departed Aachen for Porto Alegre, Brazil. On board, 88 passengers and 4 crew, 92 total in all. Takeoff was normal. Over the Atlantic it vanished from radar. Comms died. Tracking failed, like an invisible hand smothering all life. Rescue lasted weeks with no debris found. The plane was declared missing and all passengers presumed dead. Aviation's missing flights disturb us all, but Flight 513's horror began when it returned. October 1989, 35 years later, airport radar spotted an unregistered plane. He never contacts the tower, answers no calls. A silent ghost circling, then slowly lands. When staff reach the tarmac, They then froze at the fuselage name, Santiago Airlines, an airline reportedly defunct since the 1950s. After taxiing, the engines still purred like a routine flight. No visible damage, no weathering, no trace of any 35 years harsh erosion. Doors sealed, pressure lock held. Only when staff pried it open did a shocking sight appear. 92 skeletons sat neatly in their seats, as if still at takeoff. Most frightening was the cockpit. They say Captain Miguel Curic's body still gripped the yoke, as if dying. He forced it back to reality. Some think when 513 went missing, the captain kept flying, and time may not have passed at all. Explanations abound everywhere. Some claim it was a space-time rift, an unknown time tunnel the plane entered. Some liken it to the Bermuda Triangle, claiming certain areas have spatial glitches making planes time jump. Yet no theory explains this fatal issue. Why do humans and the craft feel time differently? Aviation records show no Santiago Airlines ever existed. Accident databases list no official report for Flight 513. 1989 airport landing incident appears in no official records. Key point: it originally began with tabloids, famous for exaggerated, made-up stories. Clearly, this is just like the Pan Am 914 story, a gripping, well-made urban legend. Second, a plane with one engine. In summer 2019, 148 aboard Delta Flight DL 1425 felt a plunge, calm turning to terror at 10,000 meters, triggered by a clank in the left engine. An aging MD-88 flew the U.S. route Atlanta to Baltimore. Just a routine domestic flight. At roughly 33,000 feet, the cabin still hummed with the familiar white noise passengers knew. Just when everyone expected a smooth landing, a fierce shudder hit from the left, like someone outside hammering the plane's metal hard. Seconds later, low, grating scrape-filled cabin. Everyone fell silent. Passengers soon grasped the danger. The left engine's black cone, meant to spin smoothly, was rattling wildly in the intake, like a metal top in a steel cage. Nose cone hit inlet veins. Metal sparks stopped hearts. Aviation experts said this nose cone loosening is very rare, and nearly never seen on typical offshore flights. Twin-engine planes can keep flying with one engine dead, but only a controlled shutdown within limits. Parts come loose. Metal keeps pounding. Mishandling could make the engine completely come apart. Crew shut the bad engine down, then diverted to the nearest airport, Raleigh-Durham International, North Carolina. Right after the engine shut down, vibrations eased, but the sharp thrust drop made everyone feel the plane pitching. As a passenger, you won't know if procedures succeed. You'll hear a calm yet grave intercom announcement: emergency landing. Brace for impact now. Attendants hustled down the narrow aisle, checking everyone's brace posture. No screams in the cabin, just harsh breathing and the far-off single engine's hum holding altitude. The plane descends. Clouds part. Ground approaches. Everyone knew this wasn't a routine landing. One engine alone had to get them down. A jolt. Gear slams down. Fear pinned. No blast. No runway exit. BL 1425 lands safe. No cheers. Just weary silence. Then stifled sobs and shared tight embraces. Delta confirmed the failed Pratt and Whitney JT8D. Its damaged nose cone repeatedly struck the intake, while a metal baffle, the inlet guide vanes, unexpectedly prevented worse engine destruction. Number 1. Ghost Airlines. December 29, 1972, over Miami. Eastern 401 steer light wouldn't glow. A soybean-sized fault light drew all attention. Nobody saw the altimeter quietly dropping down. A few minutes later, Lockheed L-1011 Dove left at 197 knots into the Everglades. The Light N310A left New York's JFK with 176 aboard, 163 passengers, 13 crew. Black box data shows Captain Loft, first officer, and engineer checked the landing gear. Loft entered the electronics bay. Focused on indicator light fault, the plane descended controllably until swamp reeds brushed the fuselage. Only then did the crew grasp disaster. Too late. In the end, 101 died. 75 survived in mud. Investigators blamed attentional narrow. This finding spurred aviation's CRM, resetting safety standards for teamwork and task allocation. Stranger than the disaster was the ghost lore that spread after the accident. To cut losses, Eastern salvaged electronics and microwaves from 401 wreckage, moved to another L1011, and 318A suffered most. Strange events followed. Attendants saw a captain-uniformed man on jump seat. She approached. He vanished. Photo proved he was dead. A crew member saw Repo's face in the oven glass, warned of fire. Then the engine failed. The pilot's experience was even creepier. Before takeoff, knocking came from avionics bay. He opened it. Someone warned of a flaw. Vanished. Inspection confirmed. Even China Eastern's VP spotted Loft in first class and saw him vanish before speaking. Sightings surged. Airline threatened to fire rumor spreaders while quietly removing all Flight 401 spare parts. Strangely, removing these parts made ghost rumors vanish. Yet with such eerie reports, some call it trauma-driven projection. Others think pilots banter. After an emergency landing, a ghost joke sparked online rumors. Yet we lack hard proof parts were installed. Or sightings true? Rumors aside, Flight 401 remains unforgettable in aviation history. Safety milestone. It also earned supernatural fame in books like The Ghost of Flight 401, adapted on screen. That's all for this video. Which of today's 10 scariest plane incidents stuck with you the most? And why?